Primetime Seniors is brought to you by Home Helpers of the Lowcountry, providing safe and independent in-home care. And filmed on location at Riverside at Belfair. More than a retirement community, it's a lifestyle.
Welcome to Primetime Seniors. I'm your host, Donna D'Amico, and we're here with our regular panel members, Debbie Morris with Home Helpers of the Lowcountry, and Laura Williams, Executive Director here at Riverside at Belfair. And we have a special guest today, and her name is Jackie Pedantic, and she is our nutrition and dietitian specialist. So welcome.
Thank you for having me.
We're so happy to have you. Yes, we are of course still celebrating our wellness and independence for the month of July.
Wonderful.
And so a very important component obviously is nutrition. So you are the expert. I've talked to you before, Jackie, and I know you have a list of not only credentials but certifications. So tell us a little bit how you would steer someone in the right direction. I know many of us, all of us have cooked and still are cooking for big families, but as we get older, we're by ourselves, and how we sort of turn the corner with preparing meals for one as opposed to several.
It's very hard. I have a lot of clients that do sit home by themselves and they don't get out much and they don't do much, and the best thing I ever could find for my clients that are elderly is a buddy, is a family member, anybody to help get them out of the house. But when you're talking about nutrition, if they lost a loved one, they don't want to eat by themselves. So if you have a buddy or a family member that's close, take them out to dinner, take them out to lunch, take them out to breakfast. But if they want to cook by themselves, the best thing to do is to always buy more than you usually would for a single person and package it up. That way it's always in the house, and if they don't feel like cooking or they're depressed or it's hard being old and staying in all the time, and you're afraid to get out. There's a lot of factors that go along with that, falling and getting out physically. So the best way to do it is just have people around you, make friends, get out and join groups, because the more people that you can get around, the more outings you're going to have. So that's what I try to push my clients towards a little bit more. That way they're going to get out with their friends and have that cup of coffee, or go for a walk with one of their senior friends from their groups, or grab that sandwich at a deli when they want to go to like the farmer's market. So activity goes hand in hand. Just have to get out and get some friends. And
I think you're hitting on something really important. I think food in our culture is social. And when you don't have someone to eat with, you're not motivated. Well, I think it's hard to be motivated to eat alone and to cook for yourself. And I don't want my clients all eating pre-made, heavily salted, packaged convenience foods. So
well, there's so much sodium. If you start reading those pre-packaged things that they're selling,
it can't be healthy, especially if this is a time in life when you're looking at your blood pressure and everything else. So we have a habit in our house that because we're busy during the week, we cook a lot on the weekends and we package our own food. So, but still, what are some ideas for some of my folks that even as a couple, they're just tired of cooking?
oh, wonderful. Well, grocery stores are now pushing towards healthier options. Like we have the Fresh Market here, beautiful thing. Has a dairy case full of food that you can take home. They have chicken breasts that aren't seasoned, have nothing on it. And they have some sides like salads that don't have any dressings, that are plain, or just fruits and vegetables. That's the best thing. If you just want to grab something and then throw your own mix at home, 2 seconds it's done. I do that with a baby, so.
Yeah, and I think busy lives lend itself to the planning of this as well.
Absolutely.
One of the things that we do, and I know that Laura does this too probably here at Riverside at Belfair, is we do kind of a nutrition assessment on some of our clients, and often a client, the question I have is, do you eat at least one nutritious meal a day? And the answer is usually yes, but then when I look in the fridge, there's very little there. So if I had to have my clients really look for their health at one meal a day, what should they be eating?
Well, I do have a client that only eats one meal a day, and like I said, I had to get her a buddy. And when she goes out and eats, I ask that buddy to make sure that she has a plate of colorful greens, fruits and vegetables. It could be a slice of watermelon, some broccoli, and a piece of lean meat. Something that's very low in cholesterol, very heart healthy, and has all your antioxidants and vitamins and minerals. Now, is that going to carry her through the day? No. She should take a supplement on top of it. But like I said, seniors tend to shut down when they're alone, so at least you're helping towards the ultimate goal of health. But they're going to need at least 3 meals a day like that. So one's not sufficient, but at least one is something, and I know what that's like. And it's a struggle being a wellness individual and trying to help them, because they have to want it too, and usually they're very sad, and they just, right now, and they have to find their happiness again to want to live and to want to be out there.
Yeah. Here at Riverside, we're fortunate we have a registered dietitian who does our menus for us with our chef, and so it's wonderful for our residents. But what I find is, obviously they're not going to eat as big a portion as is served in most restaurants. But if they go maybe at lunch and have that be the big meal of their day, and then they take home those leftovers from the restaurant, they've got something for dinner, which is still just as nutritious.
Right.
So I think that's really important to know
Very
too.
important, very important.
Yeah.
One little tip I do, I think a great way to start out your day, I start out with my little health shake. So I know I'm getting and I throw spinach in it. I know that sounds sort of disgusting, but I'll throw spinach in there, my banana, my orange juice, strawberries, blueberries, which I normally throw in the freezer so they're cold. But that way I know no matter how my day goes, and I know people get busy, crazy, then at least I know I've gotten my vegetables and fruit in my morning thing. A lot of people do that.
Do you encourage your folks to juice?
I encourage them to juice, definitely. Get a juicer, stick all those vitamins and minerals in the juicer. It's great. It's a lot less sugar than what you get in a store, and it's a lot easier for them to have.
It's quick, and you're not cooking. Exactly.
Absolutely. And that's what's a big plus with seniors, is because it's the cost of things. They can't always buy healthy. It's a lot cheaper to go to Sam's and buy a big thing of vegetables and put in a juicer than it is to buy a thing of orange juice. It's like $3.29 now.
And you can keep it in the freezer and just pop it in. It stays cold, and in the freezer you don't have to worry about the
Completely
shelf
agree.
life.
All right, so what's the recipe for a one-person morning juicer drink?
Oh, recipe, geez. I usually cut up an orange. This is back when I used to be in college. I love juicing. I used to cut up an orange. Spinach I did use once in a while, carrots, and tomatoes, and I would mix that together, and that was really good.
And you can't
In a
taste
juicer.
it.
No.
That's the key. People are like, you put spinach in it, you can't taste it. It's all ground up in there, and you taste the banana and the orange
Wonderful
juice.
for iron deficiency, and that's why I was iron deficient in college. It's great, and you just put it in a juicer, and basically you taste the orange more than you taste the carrot, the tomato, and
Anything else.
spinach. It's great.
Absolutely.
I had one other question I wanted to be sure to ask you in this portion, only because we did talk about the packaged foods being high in sodium. What are some alternatives to salt for seasoning foods? Easy to grab seasonings.
Well, I love Mrs. Dash's line. They're all different. That's great. But if you really want to do it yourself, go and get the oregano by itself. Go and get the whatever you want to use, bay leaves by itself, and season yourself. Just stay away from the salt. As soon as you stop eating salt, you won't want it. And there's enough salt in foods by itself naturally that you'll get what your body needs for sodium. But once you stop to steer away from it for a little bit, you won't want it anymore.
That's so
Trust
true.
me.
Interesting.
Give it a week though. You'll have cravings.
But will you? I mean, will you actually crave salty things?
You crave
We talked
salty
about
just
that
like you
earlier.
crave fat. Your
Yeah.
body gets used to it, it gets addicted to it, and you want it. There's chemical changes that happen in your body when you overeat fat, when you overeat salt, and the body wants it and craves
it.
So it's like a nicotine addiction. You have to slowly withdraw from it, but there'll be a point that you don't have salt. I never use salt, and I haven't used salt my whole life.
Which is
Unless my mom put it on my food, which
Well, on that note, thank you, Jackie. We'll be right back after this message. Welcome back to Primetime Seniors. We're here with Jackie Pedantic, talking still about nutrition and health, and we're just getting into all kinds of different things with, and I know she wrote a book called Keep It Simple, which is a wonderful little book, which I like because it's not so overwhelming. A lot of these books you pick up on dieting are just, you can't even get through it, but yours is a simple little guide to healthy portion control and nutrition.
Nutrition, absolutely. What I did was I took a physiology book that I had in college, a nutrition physiology book, and I broke it down into segments, and I said to myself, what is that book really saying? And instead of making this 16-page chapter, I just did a paragraph. This is what salt does to your body. This is what potassium does. This is what folic acid does. And I just made it really simple so you could see, oh, I need that because I think we don't eat the way we should because we don't know why. We just know it's healthy, but what is health? What is it really doing for our body? So now I'm creating the why to things so you can make healthier choices. You can say, okay, that French fry is not the best choice because it doesn't have any nutrition value because, and then you know. But the side salad has more nutritional value, even if it has a little bit of dressing on it, because you have all the vitamins and minerals and phytochemicals and antioxidants your body needs to survive.
But I have to just interject this. My father always said moderation. I don't know about you, but if my kids have some French fries, I can't help but to steal a few.
Well, moderation is always good.
Moderation.
So
we can't deprive ourselves to the point where we're going to go really off the deep end.
Well, and I think it also requires, I mean, I'm going through the weight loss, weight gain scenario, and I know that I'm having a hard time getting my head around the fact that food is fuel. Food is fuel. I mean, it's not my comfort, my joy, but it kind of is.
Well, what you said in the first segment is that it's social.
Yeah.
So when it becomes social,
yeah.
you go out to dinner, you go out to breakfast, you go out to lunch, and for us that are younger, it becomes more of a lifeline. So we always, what's so-and-so doing for dinner? Let's go out for dinner, let's go out for that. So we sit there, we have conversation, but we eat,
Right.
which is bad, and we tend to kill ourselves that way.
And same with family gatherings, Sunday in Grandma's kitchen. I mean, that's, you know, and there was lots of salt there too.
Let me tell you about Grandma's kitchen. My grandmother was from Italy, and I remember sitting at that table, and I'm not kidding you, for hours. It was just, she'd be clearing the table and it'd be setting back up again for the next meal. We'd still be there. I mean, the food was so good, but you're right, it is a social, a lot of times cultural thing, and we can overeat because we're just sitting there. And
well, my grandparents were also Sicilian, they were Italian, and we had the 7-course meals, the fish,
Every
the
time.
salad, the pasta. It was crazy, and I was an overweight child because that was always in front of me. And the best thing I ever did was I joined a sport, and I learned all about nutrition in high school and portion size and why that was bad and why this was bad and why that was bad. Then I realized pasta's not the best choice because, you know, just because mom and dad gave it to you doesn't mean it's the best thing. And I hate to say that, but they don't know.
Unless you're an athlete, because I know my son plays football, and boy, does he need the carb,
Right.
you know, because he's burning it. And I think that's what happens. Like if I tend to really overeat and I feel so horrible, I better make sure I get out and get on that bike.
Well, that's it. You learn the why you need it. But for the normal person that just engages in fitness like a casual walk, they don't need it, and that's why they're not burning at a high level.
Well, and the elderly people, obviously your caloric intake obviously has to go down, first of all, because you're not exercising like you used to. But, you know, you want to make sure what you do put in your body is not going to be, you know, excess calories that aren't nutritious.
Yeah, and the flip side of that is that people as they age often aren't as hungry. So they don't eat or they don't drink. We can even start now hydration. I mean, drinking enough water and other liquids and stuff.
That would be the most important thing, yeah, because I know my grandmother, as she got older, didn't really eat that much, but we always wanted to make sure she was hydrated, because that's
Sure. But what
paramount.
drives your basic metabolic rate is your muscle mass. So being younger, we're hungrier than an elderly individual because as you, over the age of 30, you lose 1% of muscle mass a year. So by the time you're 90, that's why your caloric intake goes down. And that's why you don't want to eat too. That's another factor. But you need it because you need the vitamins and minerals. So it's a double-edged sword.
Which is where it's a benefit to have the social factor in it once again
Absolutely.
when you get older. Again.
Absolutely. It'll drive them to get out.
right, and eat. Because I know there was someone that took my grandmother out to eat once a week. It was a very important thing. She couldn't wait to go, and she usually ordered the same thing, her little chicken and mashed potatoes and carrots, and but it was her little social time, and she normally ate everything on her plate. Maybe she didn't when she was home as much, but you're right, I think it's a very important thing to get them out. And
The most
socialize.
important thing for a senior is to stay active and keep moving. Never stop, because once you stop, that's when,
Well, your atrophy.
that's it. Once you stop, everything starts to shut down, and you can't stop. You got to keep going. I mean, the same thing happens for a 20-year-old that sits in front of the TV and plays video games. What happens to them? They become overweight, they shut down, their joints hurt, it's hard for them to move. It's no different. It's just more severe when you're older.
And it doesn't
Right.
have to be an exercise. It can be something they love.
Absolutely.
Golf, tennis. I mean,
Window shop.
exactly.
Beautiful.
Walking is like the best anti-aging thing ever because it you know, from the inside out.
Well, it can be
helps.
simple from parking your car. I always remember hearing this, park your car. Don't find that first spot. Go park your car further down, and just a little bit here and there, you know,
Take the
adds up.
stairs. I encourage my seniors to go to the farmers markets because they walk, they socialize. They're out there for an hour or two.
And don't even realize how much
Yes.
exercise they're
In a
getting.
grocery store, they hate being and they just want to get out. So that's where I like to take them.
Well, I agree
That's a
with that.
great tip.
Yeah. Go to
That's
the farmer's
really
market.
good. That's really
Well, now
wonderful
that you're
idea.
getting the more fresh, you know, our local produce. We're supporting
Right,
our local.
right. But it is. I
farmers.
mean, the farmers markets here are just fun.
Yes.
there's so much to do, and everybody's very gregarious, and they're going to talk to you about everything. So,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Well, that's our tip for the day, to go to the farmer's market. So thank you so much, Jackie. You are a wealth of information. I love your book, Keep It Simple. It's a wealth of information, really condensed. And I appreciate your time and all your information.
Thank you. It's an honor to be here.
Thank you. And we'll be back after this. Welcome back to Primetime Seniors. We are joined by Edwina Hoyle with Memory Matters. And I'm going to throw it over to you, Debbie, because I have no idea. I know you've worked with Edwina and I've just met her. What is Memory Matters?
Well, I do work with Edwina, and it's a great relationship because Edwina's expertise is brain health. Memory Matters is an Alzheimer's dementia memory care program. It's a day program for the participants, but also an incredible support system for the loved ones and the caregivers of people with memory loss. And we actually will have you back in the future to talk about living with memory loss. But today I really wanted to include Edwina as we talked about wellness and independence, because social wellness and your intellectual brain booster wellness is so vital to being able to stay independent and to age and place and where you want to be. So
Exactly.
I throw it to you as my expert on brain wellness.
Well, you were talking about nutrition earlier, and that certainly is one of the key
Absolutely.
components to health. But in terms of brain health and staying active, there's other components that are really important too. You want to keep your brain active, you know, do your crossword puzzles and all of that, don't just be a couch potato. But also, socialization is probably the one factor that so many seniors just let slide. As they age, they don't have the energy to get out, they lose their companions and their spouses, and depression sets in. And socialization is the one thing that can jumpstart their brain again. Interaction with other people. We are humans, and in that humanity, I think we are genetically coded to need other people, to have conversations with, to be social.
Share experiences.
And not only that,
Yeah.
touch.
Yep, absolutely.
I was just going to say,
You
I
know-
remember wasn't there something that we need at least how many hugs a day?
Exactly, and
It's
if you
so
don't
true.
have a
And I
hug
say
a
that to
day,
my kids, I need at least 5 hugs a day to survive.
Yeah.
You know,
but I mean, if you
it's
think about it,
important.
even for men, you know, to go out and shake somebody's hand, you know,
Well,
that's
have a conversation.
Exactly.
You know,
We actually have a client that we're in the home 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and she has wonderful caregivers from our staff. They love her and they've cared for her for years, but we really asked her to start going to Memory Matters twice a week because she needed more than that. She needed people her own age. She needed a peer group, and the days that she has the energy to go, she loves it, and it's been a big change for her.
So where is Memory Matters? I'm sorry.
That's okay. No, go ahead, go ahead.
No, I was just going to ask, where is your...
We're at the corner of Squire Pope Road and 278, just
Okay.
over the bridges.
So people come to you? Mm-hmm. Okay, that was my
Exactly.
question.
Exactly.
Okay, go ahead, Laura. Get
I'm
a word
sorry.
in
I
here.
was just going to say, I know, you know, people with memory problems, what happens is with Memory Matters is they give them somebody they can actually relate to as well. So the socialization is even more important, even for like your client that you were saying,
Absolutely.
because she's in the same situation with everybody else there. She
That's
doesn't
right.
feel different and
Well,
ostracized.
and
Right.
she goes into a place where she's greeted and she's wanted there, she's expected, she's appreciated for what she brings. She's not just alone in her apartment anymore. You know, it's a
Exactly.
big difference in your life to go somewhere like that. And I think for everybody, it doesn't have to be a day program. You know, we've talked and chatting here about people connecting with their family. So many of us don't live near our family, and Skyping with grandkids and from other parts of the country. We have a client who Skypes with his grandson who lives overseas because his dad works overseas. So they don't see him, but they talk every Sunday afternoon online. So it's great.
Well, technology is amazing. I know my son's going off to college in the fall, and he says, "Mom, you got to get a camera. We got to Skype."
Yeah.
And it's true. I mean, we're fortunate to have the technology, but obviously, like you said, actually getting out and seeing someone face to face.
Right, and I think that seniors sometimes are very intimidated by technology, and answering emails is sometimes challenging.
Seniors?
So webcams and things like that are something new and different, and that exercises your brain when you learn something new.
Yep.
But join a church group.
Yep.
Get out, play bridge, take a walk with your neighbor, get a pet. Believe that
pets are
tactile,
wonderful.
you know, unconditional love of a puppy or a dog. Yeah, they're, you know, trouble, and but they give you
bring
joy.
so much love and
exactly.
joy.
And depression, I mean, I think that depression really exacerbates bad situations. When you already have a health condition, depression just makes it worse. And socialization is just key to so many health issues.
Yeah, and it gets our mind off our troubles. I mean, if
Exactly.
we are out socializing, we're forgetting for a few minutes other stressors.
Right.
So it
Well, think about
eludes
us.
that.
We go out for a little luncheon with the girls or cocktails with the girls. Don't we come home just feeling great?
Oh, absolutely.
We're having so much fun, and you forget about all that stuff
That's
that
right.
you got to worry about.
That's right. It's
Absolutely.
important
It's
to do.
important no matter what.
It really
Right.
is. And, you know, and what we see sometimes too is people will say, oh my God, I'm so concerned about my memory. I think I might have Alzheimer's. But it's not. You get in a fog and you get frustrated and you get alone and you start worrying, and then you may have medications that are making you feel a little off. So you jump to that.
Well, and
next
I think there's a big difference, because I got to tell you, I'll forget things or I'll lose stuff. I'm a big list maker, but I know my kids, they'll look at me sometimes and say, you're so old. And then next thing I know, they've lost their wallet and their keys. And I'm like, excuse me.
lack
So-
of focus.
Well, that's
Yeah,
what it is. Or
lack of
as my mother would
focus,
say,
yeah.
you are juggling so many balls. No wonder you can't keep anything straight.
Right.
So I think you're right. Sometimes you're spread so thin that you can't. But there's a big difference with,
Oh, absolutely.
just are forgetting something.
Losing the keys is totally different than not knowing
Not-
what the keys are
are
for.
used
Right.
for.
There you
That's
go. Great
where you need
distinction.
to, you know,
Great
really
distinction.
look at getting some help.
Memory Matters has a program, and I know they won't mind me saying this because my mom and dad both participated in it, and it's not for people who have diagnosed memory loss
Right.
problems, called Brain Boosters.
Brain Boosters. It's
I've
a
heard of Brain
proactive class. It's 6 weeks long, and basically it's for anybody who wants to, you know,
Rev it
get
up.
involved and rev it up a little bit and get some socialization. They talk about nutrition. They do a little yoga. They have homework assignments.
My
They have to
mother
do a
still
little
does
research
her yoga where she has to go down in a certain position so many times a day.
and breathe and
Right,
all of that. But it gets
Whatever
you.
works.
Yeah, and you get connected with a group that is you're going to spend 6 weeks with them, and you learn new names, new friends, new activities, and it's good for you.
That's it's such wonderful advice. Absolutely. I think whether you're young or old, getting out there, socializing, keeping busy, I think is very important. And we can't thank you enough, Edwina,
Oh,
for
that's
joining
quite
us
all right.
today in our regular panel. Until next time, live Primetime Seniors.